Oh, it's Preston's last chance to get out of this league finally, to become a Premier League side. And a mad half an hour, they fluff their lines yet again. To discuss how frustrating that is and to put some blame somewhere, hopefully, is our guest on the channel this week, which is Sam. Good evening, Sam. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Thank you very much for having me on, Mark. Appreciate it.
You know, I think even the hardest kind of Blackpool fan would want to see Preston just have a stab at the playoffs. I won't say they want to go up, but we all want Preston at some point in their future championship lives to have a go.
Just in my lifetime, one season. That's all I ask for.
Yeah. All right. Help me out with the Norwich game then, because I obviously I wasn't at the game. You were. Lots of people on Twitter were saying that there was a completely gutless half an hour that killed the game. Ryan Lowe killed it by taking Mads off. No idea what he was doing.
Yeah.
Put another striker at left wing back when we already had sort of Best and Cunning on the bench. I mean, what was your view of it? What went wrong? And just how gutted are you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the frustrating is from a Preston fan perspective. You know, you mentioned then that finally having a stab at the playoffs, and it feels like there's been so many seasons under Ryan Lowe and previous regimes where seasons just been copy and paste. Really, we've started all right, had a big dip around Christmas, picked up around February time, and then your mix of injuries with a small squad, tough run of games, it just seems to all fall apart. And this season, we're looking at big factors. Maybe Ryan Lowe substitutions in big games, I think, has cost us quite a few times. I mean, it was only on the Tuesday before the Norwich game, he's brought on Osmajic, who's scored a hat-trick in 7 minutes. So there is, obviously, you can't moan at him too much for that one. But I think this season, having a small squad and the injuries have killed us off, really. For a club of our size, losing players like Miller, Potts, your captain, Alan Brown, Ali McCann, Ben Whiteman, they're all big players for us. Losing them all for the running, I think it was always going to be quite a lot to ask for. And I think it's just about caught up with us, really.
I don't think you're going to answer this with a yes, but there are some fans asking for Ryan Lowe to be replaced. There's not many, but they are sick and tired of this now, and they put all the blame for where you are squarely at his door. That some are saying, look, this is one of the best Preston sides we've had in years. We should be in those playoffs, and the reason we aren't is because of his negativity in games. Can you jump on board with these fans, what they're saying?
I mean, I tend to try and stay quite level-headed with it because I think, they're the same fans that would have been thinking we were suddenly going up as champions after 7 games when we were unbeaten. But I do think there's things he's at fault for. I do think the football we play is generally quite dull. I don't think he coaches players to the best of his ability compared to Alex Neil, who was our previous, sort of longer-term manager. There's a lot of players who've improved under him. I don't think he tactically gives the best out of the players. However, I'm not sure the squad is quite where a lot of people think it's at, which doesn't help him. I think we're still lacking certain bits of quality out wide. We've not signed a right wing back since he's come in, and when you play with wing backs, that's quite alarming. I think the centre of the defence needs a lot of work. So, and I think Peter Ridsdale's quite old-fashioned in his ways as well, which isn't that beneficial for a manager in the Championship. So I think, although I'm not his biggest fan, and if he was to, walk out to a bigger club, I certainly wouldn't be gutted to see him go. I do think it would be very harsh to sack him based on a top 10 finish, which in terms of our budget, we are massively punching above our weight.
Yeah. Well, let's just have a look at it. This is the last 20 years of Preston. So you were promoted to the Championship in 2015. So we are going into season 24-25. So you are now, your 10th year now of Championship. You've never finished lower than 14th in all that time. Yeah. Even in your time before that, under the Moyes era and things, you've got such a good pedigree in this league, but you've got a pedigree for just about finishing just outside. You can have great runs and then some awful runs as well. What has to change for you from not so as a coaching point of view or a manager point of view, but from it's almost like a club mentality point of view, in order to get Preston at least into the playoffs next season?
I think we've got to be a lot more savvy in the transfer market, not even just in terms of incomings. I think what you see a lot of these good teams do, you talk about the Brentford model when they were last in the Championship, they'd sell the big players at the right time and replace them. And I think, going around 2018 to 2020, we sort of made a bit of a hash of that, really. We had players like Ben Pearson, Ben Davis, Callum Robinson, Darnell Fisher, Adam Brown and Daniel Johnson, who were all ended up entering the last years of the contract when they would have had quite a high transfer value. And with that, you obviously don't bring in the funds really. And for a club that's got such low, match day income and now we're at a point where we haven't got that many assets in the squad. I think we don't spend a lot of money because we don't bring a lot of money in. So we've probably got to be a lot more savvy in terms of bringing money in. And then obviously spending that in the foreign market, which is something we've only really just done in the last summer window.
Fair enough. Okay. In preparation then for the transfer window, we've got a number of players out of contract. Just want to get your view on these. First of all, Liam Miller is on loan. Has he done enough for you to break the bank to secure his services?
Yeah, massively. I think Liam Miller is certainly maybe not one of the favourites, but he's an outside shot for player of the season. I think he's the only player we've really got, and I'd argue we've had since maybe Lucas Nemecha in 2019 that's actually got the ability to go past somebody. And I think the key thing for us in the summer is to potentially tie him down and also bring in a bit of a like-for-like player on the opposite side. I think he's fundamental to how Ryan Lowe wants to play with the wing-backs. He's got the ability to beat people 1v1. He's got quality in that final third. So I think he'd be a huge statement for Preston if we're able to tie him down.
Yeah, we saw that against Leeds on Boxing Day, didn't we? With the stunning individual goal. Okay, obviously the biggest one I want to talk about is Alan Brown, who's be 30 in the next season. Has a new contract been offered? Do we know?
Yeah, it's been quite public knowledge. I think Ryan Lowe, Peter Ridsdale have both come out and said he's been offered a new deal. From what I understand, from what I hear, it is on reduced terms to what he's on, which obviously might be a bit of a stumbling block, but I suppose you've got to understand that when you're coming on to 30. But from Alan Brown's perspective, if he wants to sign it, you've got the option now. It's a bit of a similar one to the Paul McKenna situation. You probably become a legend at North End, but at the same time with his age, it's probably the last big contract he's going to sign. So if he does, choose to go somewhere for the money or choose to, potentially go to an Ipswich or something like that and have one last crack at the Premier League, you struggle to begrudge him really when he's been such a good servant to North End.
Absolutely. And then what about the other ones? So Ben Woodburn, Bauer, Cunningham, Evans?
They can all go for me. I think that's the issue in North End we've had in the past where we've potentially given players new contracts when we needed to be a bit more savage really and bring new players in. And Evans, came in 3 years ago, did a lot better than we expected. Greg Cunningham, certainly first time around, was one of the best left backs I've seen at North End, but coming back now, he's too injury prone. Patrick Bauer's hardly featured since Lowe's come in. And then Ben Woodburn, I just personally don't think is good enough for Championship football. I think he scored 1 goal in the 2 years he's been here in the Championship anyway, which obviously you can't afford to drag players like that around.
Yeah, okay. All right then, so 3 games left to go. There's a huge one this weekend for QPR, who desperately need the win to stay up. So you're going to have a big say in who goes down at the end of the season. They beat you at your place. What did you make of them?
Yeah, I remember that game. It was absolutely freezing. I think it was like -7 on a Friday night. It just really sticks to me, that. But when they came to us, I thought they looked okay. I think we were in a really tricky run of form then. I think that was in that spell we'd won 5 in about 22 games, which has probably been a big reason why we've fallen short of the playoffs, really. But they looked okay. They were fairly solid, well drilled. It's towards, is it Kerfietes? I'm awful at pronouncing these.
Yeah,
the start of his reign. And then what was quite a cagey game, they brought on Elias Chair off the bench, who had that bit of quality, which I think will probably keep them up in the end. He's a big quality operator, and he had the difference in the end on what was a freezing night at Deepdale.
Okay, all right. Well, we're absolutely gutted for Preston fans. We really have heralded you out throughout this year. Don't forget, you led the Championship, didn't you? For what was it, 8-9 weeks?
Yeah, it was. I think we had an international break, which while we were top, which was obviously quite nice. I had the league table as my phone screensaver, sucking it up as much as I could. So quite a rare occurrence for us, isn't it?
And Blackpool are knocking on the door of the playoffs in the league below. Do you subscribe to that? You'd want them back up to play in this division, or keep them down there?
Oh, it's a tricky one, that, isn't it? Because it's mint when you can have that banter that they're in the league below you, but at the same time, they are like, I think it's what football's all about, the big derby games, isn't it? So maybe give them another year to wrap down there and they can come up the year after.
Okay. All right, Preston fans, if you're not yet subscribed, please do so. We've got 2 more games left to review this year with Joey and guests on. So thank you, Sam. We'll definitely be looking forward to the QPR game this weekend. You'll be travelling down to Loftus Road yourself, yeah?
Yeah, I will be. Yeah, I thought may as well get a few laughs out of the way, game, a few beers on the train, all that good stuff.
All right, okay. All right. Well, comment below then what the score's going to be. Let's get your score prediction before we let you go, Sam.
I'm going to go with 2-0 QPR. I'm not confident, but I never am. So.
All right. All right. Thanks for joining us on the Preston View this week, and yeah, enjoy the game.
Pleasure, mate. Thank you very much.